Hi, I'm Venessa Giunta. I am the author of the urban fantasy Soul Cavern series, of which this is the first 2 books. I'm also a freelance editor and a contract editor for a couple publishers, and I have been in the publishing industry for, well, I don't math, so since 2008, however long that is. And I'm really excited to have a conversation with you, Lisa. Go ahead.
Right, but you just did something very cool, so I have to like duck off for just a second because it was very cool, and I just want to do the same thing. Okay, so I'm Elle Marie Wood, and I can't say the series because that's not true yet, but I'm the author of Telecommuting and The Realm. I had to do the same thing. It was very, very cool. The Realm is actually book 1 of a series that has the book 2 of which coming out. Is that of which? I'm the writer and I can't even say it. Book 2 of which? I don't know. Book 2 is coming out in October.
Awesome.
I can't believe I've actually been in the industry longer than you. You said 2008?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I've been in since 2002.
Wow.
Is that right? That's wrong.
Okay.
My first poem I wrote in 1990. Well, it was published in 1998.
Dang,
So
nice.
that sounds like, and how can that be? Because I'm only 22.
I know. We both started very, very young.
In the womb, indeed.
Indeed.
So you said I'm kicking off the conversation, so be it.
You signed yourself up for that.
Yeah, I did. I'm going to say one thing.
Okay.
Girls Rule 2.0.
Oh, yeah. 3.0 now.
3.0, that's right. We're talking about a panel at Multiverse Convention that we are both track directors at. And you were the moderator for the first one when it was live and in person. We did an online version last year, which was cool, very cool,
Yeah.
But now we're doing another one. Now that we're live and in person again, it's going to have to be. And you've signed yourself up to be moderator in perpetuity whenever we're live and in person.
I am super happy to do it whenever. It was so much fun. It was one of the best panels. So this panel was about writing women, authentic women, right? Oftentimes men just don't get it right. They don't necessarily understand how we think. So it was really about just putting together a good character and then breathing life into her in an authentic way. And it was just so good. We had such good audience participation and just, it was so exciting. It was the best panel of the whole con. And it wasn't even on my track. It was on your track. So
and what's funny is I was on your track when it was happening. I didn't even see it.
You just heard about it as everyone left the room.
Yes, because I came back and people were coming out like, oh, what a great panel. I'm like, oh my God. I missed it. I just wanted to witness the whole thing. The 2.0 was actually pretty cool too, though. It was nice. It was a different conversation, but still furthering the discussion because overall, women are not necessarily written the way that they should be. And even women are guilty of this,
Yeah.
I mean, there's in movies or in literature, obviously, right? We're just presented a specific way. I mean, I'm a woman, but I don't need saving. At least not all. If there's a spider, I might need some saving. But other than that, like I can pretty much do the stuff I need to do.
I'm a self-rescuing princess.
Yeah, so I don't need you to don't sweep in and the wind is sweeping back my hair. No, it's not. It's not doing that, and I don't need your help.
As an editor, and a lot of that stuff, sometimes it's very deep-seated in our culture, in United States specifically. It's very where a woman, I mean, it's certainly global, but in different ways, right? And in the US, especially within entertainment, it's so ingrained in us that we don't realize how women are portrayed versus the reality of women, and how women are so often a vehicle for a man's story. Yes. You get into fridging, which is where a woman or a girl is killed or otherwise hurt in a terrible way in order to create a storyline for the main male character. And once you see that, I wasn't familiar with the actual term. I had an idea of it as a concept, like that I had kind of started noticing here and there, but I didn't know the term until several years ago. And now I cannot unsee it.
Yeah.
Like everything I see, I'm like, wow, that woman just went, she just got murdered for him,
Right.
and I think we talked a lot about that on that particular panel on Girls Rule 1.0. We talked a lot about that, and about how it does a disservice, to women, to girls, especially who watch this or read this, and, they can't, like, that's what they think the world is supposed to be. They're victims. So
well, it's true. It's true. And it's also, and I heard about the term when I was looking for some romance short stories, because I was teaching a class. It was actually just reading essentials, but I mean, I'm a genre writer, so we read horror, we read science fiction, we read everything.
Yeah.
They weren't banking on that when they took my class. But I was looking for some romance stories, because I don't read just straight romance. If it's anything other stuff mixed in, I'll read it.
Yeah, there aren't a lot of romance short stories either.
Yeah.
The market isn't very big. But go ahead.
Right. No, exactly. And so, but I was looking for something short because of like I said, the focus of the class. And I came upon that term, and I was like, oh, that's horrendous. But oh my God, yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
It's kind of messed up. But also, it's not just that. Yeah, because that's like a plot device in movies like 70s, 80s horror. Not so much all of the 80s, but almost all of the 70s US horror.
But
it's a plot device.
But even now, even modern, now, you're right. Look at all those ones where a husband or father has to avenge. I'm a Supernatural fan, right? And so when Jared Padalecki got a new series, it's basically a rewrite, a reboot of Texas Ranger.
Okay. Walker Texas Ranger.
Yeah, that one. But anyway, but like the opening is his wife got murdered, and I'm like, really, guys?
Yeah,
really?
It's a plot device that doesn't die. It's just it's horrible. But what also strikes me about the way that we portray women in genre specifically is, like, I didn't go to cons a whole lot. Right. So I think my first in person was back in 2005, but then I didn't go again until maybe 2016 or 17. Then I went to Balticon. Great con. I still do that con. But honestly, and horror folks don't dress up like this at stuff. We just, even there, we just don't dress up like that. But sci-fi and fantasy folks are not playing. Okay.
No.
So
they bring in that cosplay.
It is awesome, and I love it. Right. So I just get to look around like, wow, that's a cool costume. Well, I don't even know what that character is, because I don't know what you're talking about. You know how I don't know what's going on. But the women, it's still at Balticon more so than we saw at Multiverse, but there's a subset of, okay, we're being slinky because we're talking about sex in the genre. But some of the elves, some of the fairies, some of the, I don't know what this one was. She had red eyes. I don't know what she was doing. Her ears looked like an elf to me, but she wasn't an elf. She was something else.
Sure.
The slinky costumes, everything is being bared. And I'm thinking, you can have that. I'm not against some of that, but it can't be every single character that's dressed down like this. You play Mortal Kombat, and my character's Melina. I love her. And she's in a skin-tight outfit. Everything's showing. And then if you click another one of her powers, now she's in a crop top. And I'm like, why? What's happening here?
How come dudes get armor?
Right?
And women get
what's happening? Right. Oh, we saw this commercial, and I didn't even know what we were looking at. And my son, I'm sure he said this for my benefit, right?
But that's okay.
I looked at him, like, gave him a side eye, like, okay. But it's women's football, indoor football, arena football, or something like this. It's like, and they've got padding here, nothing anywhere else. It's just like a bikini bottom, and whole stomach is open, all the legs, a tiny little bikini bottom, and then some shoulder pads. And I was like, my mouth was just open, like, what in the world? And he said, why are they dressed like that? And I was like, shut your mouth, man. Okay, whatever. I was like, I look, I'm not a fool now. But still, I was like, why? I'm so offended. Like, you should put some clothes on.
I think it has so much to do with the demographic. They're not marketing women's indoor football to women.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Everything like that, men's football and women's football is all marketed to men.
Yeah.
Which is why the men are completely covered in clothing from and literally there's no part of them that is bare.
Nothing
Maybe
at all.
The hands.
The hands, that's it. Unless they wear the glove.
Only because they need to grab the ball.
Right, exactly. No, it's amazing. And then you think about that and then just put that into literature, and this is what we have to read. Because I mean, an example of someone being scantily clad in literature can happen in any genre. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, Dracula's always biting the girl whose chest is, and she's buxom,
her
heaving bosom. Yes, and it's like, give me a break. Like, why doesn't Dracula ever just bite a flat-chested girl who's in a t-shirt?
Dude.
You know, or a dude. How about that?
Blood is blood.
Blood is blood. Why is it always sexual?
Although,
I get it. I like a sexy vamp.
Have you seen the new Dracula? The one, I think it's on Netflix.
No.
It's very short. It's like maybe I think 4 episodes or 6 episodes long.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's Netflix, and it's got some homoerotic undertones. For
I'm
real.
okay with it. Get with the program. It can't be that every single vampire is only going to bite the woman. It's just nonsense.
Unless it's a woman, and then she's only going to ever bite the dudes. But she's still going to be mostly naked.
Right. Oh, yeah. She's going to bite the girls, too, though. They don't mind making her bite the girls.
That's right.
The guy won't bite the guy.
Whew,
although, Interview with a Vampire was a bit... I mean, the whole time I kept thinking, well, this is... I mean, why don't you just come out and say it? I mean, this is...
Well, it is
none of these relationships. I mean, Armand...
Yeah, but Anne Rice, her stuff always has queer undertones. It always has. Everything has queer undertones.
Yeah, well, it's refreshing to see.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it can't just be, and I don't know why that's a thing for me. I love a sexy vampire, but why can't the vampire be sexy for everybody? Like, what's the problem here? So,
why does the have to be almost naked? Come on now.
Always.
Come on now.
That's just nonsense. Almost naked. And it was funny. It makes me think of dancing naked, not dancing fully naked, but like dancing almost naked. Have you ever seen like movies where they have people out like by a pool and they're trying to dance, but it looks nasty, like unappealing.
And who does that really? Who does that?
No. And I've danced by a pool in my bathing suit and realized I shouldn't be doing this. I'm sure that looks horrible. You know what I mean?
I'm okay with it in real life. I'm not okay with it as a vehicle of sexism. I'm okay with it if that's what a woman or a man or a gender fluid person, anyone wants to dance in their nakedness or mostly nakedness next to a pool or in any other place where it's not inappropriate.
Right.
I want them to, because I want them to be comfortable in their skin and I want them to be proud. And it doesn't even matter. Other people might judge them for whatever.
Right.
Who cares, right? Live your life, do your thing. But that's not what it is in media. That's not what it's about in media.
And we write those things down in novels and short stories. It becomes like the measure of where we are in society at the moment. I mean, it becomes, good or bad, it becomes the thing that people think was going on at the time, especially if they read it years later. Yeah. And if your representation is filled with stereotypical nonsense, and just misogynistic, whatever it is that you're putting out there that is just not accurate, it's the measure of record. It's just what it is. I mean,
or even if it is accurate, it's not what we are working toward.
Right. Why do you have to capture that piece of it? You can capture so many other pieces of it.
Yes, or you can create something better, or you can use it as a device to fight that particular thing in your book.
Interesting that when I write, though, I'm talking about it and railing against it. I don't keep all that stuff in mind when I'm actually creating my characters. But indeed, most of my characters are male. My protagonists, most of them are male. And I don't know why that is. It just kind of happens. It's whatever the voice becomes.
Right. Sure.
But my women are always badass. But my guys are regular guys. They're just average Joe guys. Because I think that I'm not for what psychological horror. I'm not looking for someone to be, some superhero or fantastic individual or some like extraordinary whatever. I really need them to be an average person so that anybody can look at it and say, oh God, that could happen to me.
Yeah.
So I'm writing regular folks. And when I did write the female vampire in the Promise Keeper book, she's badass because she has to be, but she's also a mother protecting, so there's a lot of stuff going on. And I think that if you're writing with authenticity, you can, you'll always have an accurate representation. And I have to, now that I've talked through that a little bit, I have to wonder if women can do that better than men ever can, because we know what it's like to be a mom or know what it's like to have to make certain decisions as women that men will never have to know. Yeah. Granted, we don't know what it's like to make certain male decisions. I mean, God, that's the other side of the coin.
Right, sure.
And so when I write certain things, do I ask a guy, hey, does this make sense? Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes, because I don't know.
But the other thing, and I think this falls to people of color who are writing white people and queer people who are writing straight people, every story that we've had throughout history tells that story. Like you look at all of the literature from even the 1700s on, all of that is from the straight white man perspective. I mean, there are some few exceptions, right? There certainly been women writing for a long time, but we know the story of, the literary story of men. Yes, and we can get it wrong. You're right. We don't know in person, but there's so much already out there that we can draw from. It's like, yeah, okay, I know the story, Yeah. And I think that you really touched on something about how there are decisions that we as women make on a daily basis that men don't even know are decisions. Right. Like they don't even, it is so far outside of their realm. I actually had a friend of mine he's a big guy. He was probably 6 feet tall and just a big, very strong, nobody messes with him. Right. And so we were having a conversation because he just didn't understand, like, he would make inappropriate jokes and stuff, and it's just like he didn't get how it was offensive,
Yeah, oh my gosh.
And so during the course of one of these conversations where I'm trying to set him on the right path, I said to him, all right, if you're leaving Walmart at 2 p.m, do you notice what car is parked next to yours? If it's a van on your driver's side, does that affect how you approach your car at all? Do you know where all the men are around you as you're leaving the store? And do you notice if one of them changes direction? Is that a thing that you pay attention to at 2 p.m? Do you have your keys in your hand? And he's like, what are you talking about? I was like, oh my God. I mean, certainly that may not be every single time, but we have to be so aware all the time.
Always. You have to decide when you're going to go get gas. You have, and where, you have to think about, is the sun going to go down while I'm inside of the supermarket so that I'm not parked at the end of this thing or whatever, or the movie
I'm
theater.
Under a street light, or I'm under a parking lot light.
Yep. Or even if you want to give someone, because someone approached me once in the parking lot, and I just kind of looked at him like, I have looked all around here. Unless someone's underneath my car, this is really not a moment for me to be nervous. But your approach is so ridiculous. He needed help, and he was obvious. He wasn't kidding. Right. He needed money. He needed to eat something. He looked like he hadn't eaten in a long time, nor washed. And I believe the story. But I'm like, you have shambled your way up here to my car behind my back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know I'm alone. It's just you and me, and I have already looked. But dude, if I hadn't, I would have hit you with the keys that are in my knuckle. And
brand, man.
And I'm like, instead of I got in the car, shut the door, and got the money out. Then I gave it to him. I'm not gonna stand here and go on my wallet outside. I'm not a fool, but I just kept thinking it doesn't come. He didn't realize he could have frightened me. Right. Could have put me on edge. He didn't even think about it. And because he doesn't have to.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
And these are the things that inform our writing. Yeah.
I envy men for that.
Oh, yeah. Totally. God. Yeah.
I wish more men understood that that's how we move through life.
I wish I could just have a wallet. Just a wallet.
I do have a wallet.
Good for you. No, I have a full-on purse.
I try to avoid carrying a purse. The only time I carry a purse is if I know I have to have something extra with me.
Yeah.
But usually, if I'm wearing jeans, wallet in my back pocket. I specifically have a very small wallet for that reason.
Wow.
Wallet in my back pocket, cell phone in my other pocket, shirt long enough to cover both pockets.
Oh my gosh. I wish I could just do that. Because I'm not at the stage. If I'm with them, I've got younger ones.
I am
now.
free, so
who needs
lucky.
The mask? Yeah. I'm like, why can't everybody else keep up with your own mask? How come I have 4 masks and an extra one, extras in the car just in case? I'm like, dude, come on, this is not. But it's whatever.
Being a mom, a purse is a requirement.
I couldn't even pare down to that. I don't know how you're doing it with just a wallet and your phone and your keys, but if I just have never been able to pare down because of all the other nonsensical stuff that during a regular conversation I'll tell you nobody needs that, but yeah, of course you need a nail clipper because you're gonna break your nail, because I do. I'm out. And
mine are horrible.
I don't know what's up with me. I'm out. I'll break a nail and I try to pick it so it's not gonna cut me and it just is jagged. Yeah. So I do really need the nail clipper because I'm a klutz.
But you know what? You can keep a set of nail clippers in your car.
True, I could do that.
You don't necessarily have to carry them around with you.
That's true. I could use it as a claw to scratch someone if I needed to do so as well. I mean, that's where the horror author mind goes. Yeah. I'm ready to slice someone up with my fingernails.
Yeah. And don't even come near me with that.
Right?
That mess you're pushing there. Don't even do it.
No, not unless you want these nails. But anyway,
I had a guy I dated one time, and he said, I don't remember how we got on the topic, but it was about safety and stuff. He said, "You know what you should do?" And I was like, "What should I do?" He said, "You should keep a giant dildo in your car."
Because they're not going to bother you then.
Right. He said, "No, he said that. He said, but if they do, it doubles as a bludgeoning weapon."
It's not that. It's like.
No,
I can't even stop
there are giant. When I say giant,
I just thought of it. I just thought of what it looks like, and now
I'm freaking baseball bat.
It is. I'm totally red because I have had many a conversation standing in front of one of those, going, "What the hell?" I mean,
what do they do with that?
I just want to understand. I'm like, who can just? I just want to understand this thing.
I'm sure when Joe hooked us up, he didn't think at all that we would end up talking about gigantic dildos.
Right? But I kind of knew that we would get somewhere.
Known.
I wasn't worried about it, but holy cow, yeah, no, in my mind, I was much smaller. And I'm like, wait a minute, no. Think about that big boy. Holy cow. No one would go near you. They would be terrified of what you might do.
That's right. They should be terrified of what I might do anyway, but this is just a visual representation.
Yes. That, you know what it reminds me of when you said that? Because to bring it back to just writing and movies. What was the movie, though? It was a Tarantino movie, I think, where the guy, it's not a dildo, but the woman had like a machine gun for a leg.
Unfortunately, I cannot be a Quentin Tarantino fan, I think. I have watched several of his movies. Even when I don't know it's his movie, I'm just like, I don't like this movie. The only, what I was hoping would be an exception was I was watching From Dusk Till Dawn. Yeah. And I was really digging it until the vampires came up, and then it was stupid. Yes. And I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? And it was good. I was like, oh my God, there's a Quentin Tarantino movie I like. But no, that didn't work out.
I'm not much of a fan either, but he has memorable characters like this machine gun foot girl. I don't even know why I remember that, but when you said, I don't know why, but when you said the dildo, I was like, oh, I like the girl with the gun.
Dildo.
She just picks her leg up. She can put.
Oh, you're killing me.
I don't know why. Now you got to look that up because you've got to see that. It wasn't Tarantino? That's right. Okay, I don't know who Robert Rodriguez is, but I guess I know the movie. I know the leg. I just know the leg. No, I didn't stay long enough to see. Because once I saw the leg thing happening, I was like, come on. Oh my God, give me a break.
Tapping out.
Oh my God. No, I feel the same way about Tarantino, and I don't know why. It's either love or hate for most people.
Yeah. And, it's not that I have anything against what he does. I just find that I don't really care for the movies he makes. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a special taste that you have to have for some of that.
And clearly I don't have it.
I am a psychological horror movie fan. I like it when it's like the slower build, and you got to be paying attention or else you miss something. There's a weird. Don't get me wrong. Every now and then I like a quick. I saw some vampire movie the other day. The new one with Batista. Oh, God, names are gone for me today. And one of my college buddies was trying to challenge me about how it's not a good movie. I'm like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's a good movie or not. I'm saying it did what it was supposed to do. It's a very. And I said vampire. I meant zombie. It's a straight up zombie movie. It's just brains. I want brains. That's all it is.
Okay. Army of the Dead?
That's it. Army of the Dead. Thank you. Joe was like fantastic.
You just had to wait on Joe. He was going to come back. This is his thing.
True.
Film is his thing.
That's true.
So yeah, zombies are the monster that I cannot handle. I can't.
Really?
Yes. Zombies wig me the fuck out.
Oh,
I
wow.
don't know why. Except for the only zombie movie I loved was Return of the Living Dead, which was the campy 80s comedy one.
Yeah.
I get so stressed out. I tried to watch, so I have a friend who was one of the regular zombies in the first season of The Walking Dead.
Oh, neat.
Like, okay, I'm going to support my friend and I'm going to watch this. And I got to, I think, like the third episode, which is the one where they're in downtown Atlanta and they're up on the roof and there's this huge crowd of zombies down there. And then there's like a tank and they need to get to the tank. And in order to do that, they like cover themselves with entrails so that they smell like the zombie, they smell dead. And, they cover their living scent. And then they have to walk through this gigantic group of zombies. And the covering in gunk, that's fine. That's fine. But it was literally them having to walk like right next to these zombies. And I kept having to pause it because I was getting so freaked out.
Wow.
And finally I was just like, once they got to the tank, I was like, enough, I'm done. I cannot be this stressed out. Yeah.
Zombies, traditional zombies like the George Romero zombies, they don't bother me. I think that it's a neat idea. I don't like running zombies.
Right.
Like, man, don't run. Like 28 days. Like, get out of here, okay?
Dude.
Don't run.
When they run, somebody who made me watch that, and I was like, I hate you.
When they run, I become so panicked because I'm like, no, it defies logic. They shouldn't be able to run. I can't get out of here.
It doesn't defy logic so much as it makes my escape completely impossible.
Right, there's that too. Because I'm banking on being able to get ahead of you and then be able to bend over and get some air, and then I can start again.
Like take a 30-second breather.
Right? You can't run towards me now. I don't like the running zombies. And don't think about anything. How dare you think? Your brain is dead. There should be no thinking about, like, oh no, I don't like that. I need the zombie to be what it is, which is just a reanimated corpse.
Yeah.
Be that. Don't run at me.
No running. This is a no running zone for anyone.
Plan your attack. Like,
this is a strolling and gambling zone.
Yes,
that's all you get.
And The Walking Dead, the episodes you described, I remember those. I watched for years, and that's a great show. And the first few, if you ever saw it, I'm sure you probably saw. Everyone saw it in color, but they did it like for a week. They were running the first season in black and white. Holy cow, was that good?
Yeah, I'm sure.
So good.
I wouldn't have been able to watch that either.
It was neat. But see, for me, I think what scares me, I don't know. I don't like running zombies. I think vampires are neat, but if we're talking about like sexy vampires, but Nosferatu, like get out of here. I don't want that.
See,
I don't want
but
that.
I like that for horror. Like
Yes.
I like that. Like I can watch any vampire movie ever. Like unlike zombies, I can't watch any of them, but I can watch every vampire one. I can watch every movie monster one. All the others. I can watch all those. I love vampire. Like vampire. My teens and my 20s were me like inhaling vampire and horror fiction.
Wow,
like,
wow.
That's what it was like. And I actually I've read so much horror that horror scenes are the easiest for me to write. Like I can write them like I'm breathing. Like,
oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Wow.
So you think I would actually write horror?
I'm like, why aren't you over here with me?
I write like there's horror in most of my stories. Like there's some sort of horror part. We actually at the Writing Tribe, which is, are you on there? You're not.
I am in there.
Okay. I lose track of who's in there.
There's a lot of people.
Yeah. So I run for people who are watching. I run a writerly support group called the Writing Tribe on Facebook, and we have weekly chats on Sundays. We have a whole bunch of different co-working Zoom calls also through the week. But on Sunday evening, we talk about a topic having to do with writing. And this week's actually was genre writing. And so we actually talked a lot about horror. And we talked like most of my novels have some sort of horrific element. And one of the women in the group who has read my book, she was like, yeah, she goes, that really surprised me. She said I made it through because it was short, but she was like, I was not expecting that. I was like,
wow,
sorry, my bad. So
yikes. I think horror can be so polarizing. And then I think that I've said this before, but there's so many subgenres that if you're thinking extreme horror with all the visceral goo and blood and gore and nastiness, you're not thinking about what I write at all. Like, you are so far away from what I do. That's not to say there's no blood ever, but there are elements of it every now and then. It's quiet horror, psychological horror. It's a completely different. There's sci-fi horror. There's like stuff. There's like 36 subgenres.
Yes,
you know, and it's like but people have been like trained into, I don't know, The Exorcist, maybe just movies. They're not trained into the books. Forget the books. They're thinking only of movies, and they think of The Exorcist, Friday the 13th, like slasher films,
Halloween.
Exactly. And they're thinking that stuff, and they think, if they're younger, they might be thinking Nightmare on Elm Street. They are thinking the nasty stuff. And so therefore they say, I don't want to read that. I'm going to be afraid by it, or whatever they think. It's whatever. And they don't even try this quieter stuff. And that's the bummer of it all, because you don't know, as an author, you don't know how to position yourself, because I don't want to say that I write, I toyed with this. Supernatural suspense is where I was going, because psychological horror is all in the mind, and I do a lot of ghost work. So maybe, but the day I start talking about someone's guts, you're going to then say, oh no, she said she didn't write that, but that's not, so I didn't change it. And that's the problem. I think my genre misses a lot of the market because we are not able to get past that one label.
There's a stigma. Horror has been dead for decades, according to the talking heads in the publishing industry,
right?
But it's like, dude, no. Just like vampires have been dead, ha ha ha. Vampire genre is dying, but it's undead, so it always comes back, right?
Yeah, and I find that to be so silly. It's just so silly, and I think all these labels are very silly. I just don't get it. Because for a long time, as a person who doesn't read fantasy, I've not read a fantasy book like ever. At least I don't think, because labels, categorizations, I don't know, maybe I have, but I don't really understand why magic has to be part of fantasy. And when I realize that it just seems to be entrenched, I don't much care for magic, so I don't read it. Magic and dragons, and dragons, I don't care for, like, at all.
What you got against dragons?
I want the dragon to behave the way it's supposed to.
In the Far East, dragons were a good luck symbol. They were helpful. If you want a really interesting, very sort of intellectual sort of fantasy that has a really unique take on dragons, Paige L. Christie's Dragon Weather. It's Draigon Weather.
I'm get my note and write this down.
So and you will like it. Like it ties into what we were talking about earlier when we were talking about girls' rule. It's very feminist.
Okay.
And it's so beautifully written. It's just so good. And it's a totally different take on dragons that I've never seen before. So
okay. I'll have to try that out. Because I say that to say that I'm guilty of it as well. I see dragon, I walk away from it, but I probably shouldn't. I see magic, I walk away from it, but I probably shouldn't. I'm missing stuff that well, how do you think we can position ourselves to be able to get people to realize we're more than just this label? What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's so hard. But I think for indie publishers, at least, there's a way to do that through like Amazon categories, because you can have up to 10 categories. You can have your book in up to 10 categories. You can only sign up for 2 when you first publish the book. And small presses can do this too, obviously, because they're using the same interface. But you only choose 2 to start. But then when you have identified the other 8 that you want, you can either email or call Amazon, call KDP, and they will add your book to those. So then because marketing has to be focused, Like and that's always the biggest problem, even in traditional publishing. If you write something that does not adhere strongly to a genre, you know, the editor may be like, I love this book, but marketing doesn't know what to do with it. They don't know what shelf to put it on, you know? And because that is so important, we have to be able to add our book to, you know, being able to add our book to 10 different genres, up to 10, obviously. If it doesn't, you know, you don't want to call it science fiction if it's not science fiction.
Right, absolutely.
But I mean, I think that's for indie publishers at least, and small presses, that's as good a way to go. And also, I think it's important for us to recognize that it's okay that we don't adhere to one particular genre tightly, you know, because we can expand our reader base if we tap people in other genres. Like people who read supernatural suspense, like you were saying earlier, they may not ever look at horror. And so like if you put yourself in that category too, like my books, when I apply for BookBub ads or featured deals, I always put it in supernatural suspense for a couple of reasons. One, it's cheaper. But two, there's going to be less competition there too. So there's a chance that my book will be higher it may have a better chance there because there's less competition. And even if you're looking at the rankings on Amazon, when your book sells, if your book is if one of the categories it's listed in is not as popular, the chances of you getting higher on there are going to be greater. If you're higher on that, the people who are looking at that category are going to see you and may buy your book, and every sale is going to increase your overall ratings in all of your, you know, all of your
rankings, all
your categories. For me, like that seems to be the best way that I've found thus far of tackling that. And, you know, don't be afraid to say, oh, it is also this genre and this genre. But at the same time, we also have to think, okay, we can't be all genres.
Right. We can't be everything.
Right.
Yeah, no, I've noticed that has been a shift. When The Realm came out, there were only 2. And then now there's a bunch more. Also with telecommuting, The Promise Keeper came out in the vampire category. And I'm noticing that my publisher's going in and tweaking it after I've looked at it, because I stopped looking at it after a while.
Well, actually, Amazon will tweak it. Amazon.
Oh, is Amazon doing it too?
Yeah.
That's neat. Because I'm not looking. I try not to look.
I understand. I totally get it. It can be disheartening, and when it's not disheartening, it can be anxiety inducing, because like when it starts going up and up and up, you're like, oh my God, yay. And then of course, inevitably it's going to go down again, because everything that goes up goes down.
It changes in an hour. Right? And I'm like, I can't do this to myself.
This is too stressful.
It's true though. It's absolutely true.
Yeah. The only time I really pay close attention is when I'm really focused on marketing. Like if I'm doing a lot of Amazon ads, or if I haven't done this yet, but at whatever point I decide to branch out into Facebook ads, then I watch the ranking, because I want to see how, you know, what I'm doing on the advertising side is affecting where I am in the algorithm. So yeah. And that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, that's the one thing I really wish I didn't have to do. Like I remember, excuse me, back in the 80s when I was thinking about, oh, this is a neat career. I wonder if I could do that for a living. I wasn't talking about the marketing part. I was talking about the writing part.
Talking about the marketing part when they decided they want to be a writer. That's
I know. I wish I didn't have to look at that at all. Like and I'm saying that to say anybody who's listening to this conversation has to understand that is, I don't even know if it was reality in the 80s. I'm not even sure about that.
I think in the 80s, it was definitely like authors have always been expected to do some kind of marketing, unless they were like super, super popular already and didn't need it and didn't want to.
Right.
But there was always some expectation, I think. But I think now the majority of the marketing is the author's responsibility.
Yeah.
You know? My thinking is, if I'm going to have to do it anyway, I may as well just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
It's true. It's true. It's definitely true. It's not the easiest thing for everybody. I mean, not, I don't mind talking on panels or talking and doing presentations and things like that, but I do, and I don't mind readings. I am just not a fan of the marketing piece because I don't know that I do it well enough to not feel like I was just pitching all the time, like every time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I guess that just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's changing. It's so it's different than it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It changes so fast, and you learn new things, and then those things are a little obsolete, and then you learn more new things that build on that, and that's okay for a while, and then those are obsolete, and then there's a better way to do it, and then there's another another social media app, and then and it's just like, oh my god, I can't even with you people.
It's like enough already. I was looking at TikTok for authors. I haven't done it yet, but I'm just like, I can't. I'm feeling comfortable, knowing I should be on social media, talking about the books. I'm getting to the point of feeling like I have a voice and something to contribute, because I don't like to just say, oh, hey, here's my book, or hi, did you see the sky today? It's beautiful. Oh, by the way, here's my book. Like, that's disingenuous to me. I don't want to hear it from anybody else, and I don't want to do it. Yeah. So I am just getting to the point. I mean, I write screenplays also. I watch movies. So I talk about movies most of the time. And I like that. That is a comfortable spot for me. And I'm not telling I don't talk about any movies I don't like, because I think there are enough people in the world to disparage others. I don't need to add my voice to that. Not at all important. So I only put the posters up and maybe a small short comment about movies I actually do like. The only time I've written anything lengthy is when it was either something that was controversial and there was already a discussion going on, or someone asked me a question. So I can do that, and I can have those conversations. So that way I feel like I'm actually contributing and forming relationships. And so if I say something about my book, it's not just, oh, she's only talking to me to talk so I can buy her book. And because that's the worst feeling. But I feel like TikTok for authors, I'm not really sure how that, because
yeah, that's not my wheelhouse. Video. I one of the things I love doing video, but I'm so freaking lazy. It's just like, I gotta put on makeup.
I'm not putting on makeup. This is what I look like. I don't wear makeup. So if I'm getting dressed up to go somewhere, you know, because you see lipstick.
Yeah.
This is what I look like.
This is me.
Better deal, because for real, 364 days out of the year, this is how I look. I may have one day that I have lipstick on, so you can just but I just feel like it's me, and I want you to, if I'm going to do that stuff, you have to know who you're dealing with. And if I'm done up, then that's not me. For me, I'm not. That's not me. But
I don't get fancy like this. It's just make sure the skin isn't blotchy, and like that. But Joe said in the chat, another thing men don't understand.
That's exactly right. You have no idea. And you're so much better than me about that. I just don't know.
Well, but it's not. But the thing is, am I really better? Because the thing is, if I'm too lazy to put on makeup, I'm just simply not going to be recording a video.
Right.
So I guess most days. So I don't know that I'm actually any better.
Right.
Because I have a YouTube channel, and I was like in 2019, I think, about mid 2019, I'm like, I'm gonna be better about YouTube, rawr. And then 2019, I was actually pretty good for a little while, and then pandemic happened, and so I'm just like, I'm not even putting on pants. I'm not putting on makeup, right?
Exactly. It's like that workout resolution we make every year. Man, I'm not, man. Yeah. I like to be active, but I'm not doing a program. Not anymore. I did it back in the day, not an eating program.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. But I'm not doing an exercise plan either. I did Insanity years ago. Hey, I really did almost vomit. I'm not. That was the worst time.
I'm not that girl.
I don't need, because I keep thinking, what am I actually doing? I'm not, as soon as I stop doing this workout, it's going to make me vomit. I'm going to go and eat something because I feel horrible.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then I'm going to be right back where I was. I just feel like keep it together, but I'm not going to do
Yeah, I'm
That's
not
like
gonna
when
go
I know
crazy.
I've gone off and let myself go too much. If I have to even consider a workout rotation, forget it. I've gone off the side.
Gone off the rails. It's all over now.
I just can't. I don't know. I think I just don't feel like being uncomfortable in any way, like ever. I just
That's
don't
my
want.
problem. Like, I don't like to sweat, and I don't like to like do a lot of physical exertion, which is why I'm so horrible at exercise. Like, horrible at exercise.
I'm telling you, it's just too much. It's a lot of it's too much. But that's funny. With the writing, I don't feel that way. I'm like, okay, I'm going to write this and I'm going to sit up all night and do it. Okay, tomorrow I need another whole night to do it. I need all like 20 hours. I don't need to sleep. I need 20 hours. I can do that. I don't know why that does not translate into any other aspect of life.
Yeah,
for
that
me.
absolutely does not translate to exercise for me. But, you know, I've actually kind of lost that over the pandemic because, you know, I had a really difficult year. Like, the pandemic was the easy part of the last 18 months for me, you know, because like I had to fall, demolish my house. We were dislocated for 6 months, and you know, my stepdad passed away, and then I had to put my cat to sleep, and it's been really difficult for me to write anything because it's just like I've been so, you know, the pandemic's been hard for everyone, you know, and I think this is really common, the struggle. You know, I kind of have forgotten how much I like to write. When I actually have something, I don't feel really pressured because like this book, the third book of my series, I had originally wanted to put it out obviously in 2020, and it was supposed to come out in like the summer, I think, or something. And I was almost done with it at the end of, like, I was like 2/3 of the way through at the end of 2019, and that was it. I'm still not done with it. It's still like almost exactly where it was at the end of 2019. There's a little bit different. There are a couple extra scenes, but so, and now it's just like, it feels like so much pressure. So I keep trying to find things to distract myself with, you know, it's like, oh, Amazon's doing a new thing called Vella. What can I do that I can put in that? So yeah, so it can be really, I want to go back to the days where I stay up most of the night writing, you know, I just haven't found that again yet.
I'm sorry to hear that. I'm really sorry to hear that because that's hard. When I had children, started a family, when we decided to do this way back, I got this intense writer's block. And it wasn't necessarily that I couldn't write. I just couldn't write psychological horror. So you know, as a, you know, I don't know, everyone has their own thing, but as an author, my characters will become, you know, formed. They'll have a form and they'll stand waiting, usually just right over my shoulder waiting for me. But I wasn't writing anything, and they were standing over the baby. And I'm like, you know, I write horror fiction. You can get out. You know, like,
Out.
I'm sorry, Ghost. You gotta get out of here. Take your vampire friend with you. I mean, don't.
This is not your place.
Right? I'm like, this is not gonna happen. So watch me. I'll burn this book. You keep playing games with me, I'll burn it, and then you're done. So, right? So I couldn't do it. It was years. It was years. And what happened is, and I wrote, oh my God, I wrote like articles for our local newspaper about gardening. Now I have like the opposite of a green thumb, whatever. Name your color, that's it, not green. And I was researching, right? And I was like researching how to keep your grass green. I'm like, dude, I don't know how to keep your grass green. I better find out. And I had to do oh my God, it was so research intensive. It was like harder than it should have been. But it was. And I was writing that, and I would write, you know, just like little silly little nothings. I actually wrote my first mystery, my first and only mystery novel during that time, which was pretty cool. You know, so it got a little dark, but I was like, it's not supernatural, so it's okay. But, you know, but that's not my genre. It's nice. I like it. It was fun, but it's not like where I live. So when it took my youngest to be old enough that, and she's such a spitfire that she'll turn around to the vampire and slap it. So it doesn't actually matter. Once she could get old enough that her personality came through and it didn't like frighten me that these thoughts of my book are coming alive in front of her, I said, okay, well, I can go ahead and write this now. I guess I'm to the point where I can do this. And when I sat down to do it, it just came out. It was like, God, we've been waiting forever, blah, 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 you know? And so the staying up in the middle of the night happens now. And it's because I'm trying to catch up from, you know, for lost time. But I had it. I mean, it was I mean, 8 years, just
Yeah.
no writing.
Yeah.
And it hurts. I mean, writer's block hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like, and I don't care about gardening, so it didn't like satisfy the itch
It
for me.
didn't
I felt like
feed.
I still
Yeah.
wasn't really doing it, you know?
Yeah. It didn't feed the need that you had. Yeah.
Not at all. That
I
mystery
totally
novel
get
did.
that.
The mystery novel did
That's
to some
good.
degree, but not, it took a long time to do,
Yeah.
which is unusual for me. Like everything was so off, So
Yeah.
I get the feeling, and I feel for you, because that is a hard place to be.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to feel that way.
I've been this year I've been doing some shorts. I've written a couple shorts, which are of course horror, because that's my go-to. When I write shorts, it's almost always horror. Almost
Oh, that's
always.
great.
And I like quiet horror. I like
Mhm.
that kind of very slow build, or that kind of thing where you're reading it and you get to the end and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah,
So
that's the good stuff.
yeah. I know,
See,
right?
At least you're getting it out in some way. I hope you
Yeah.
can find that, find your pace. You will find your pace again. I just hope it
Mhm.
doesn't take forever for you to get back to that point.
Yeah, me too.
Because,
Me too.
you know,
I'm trying to work really hard with a therapist to get like this part cleaned up a little bit. So I'm hoping that in conjunction with that, the writing part comes together.
Probably.
More. Yeah. So
Something's blocking you. So
yeah. Yeah. It's just it's just all the stress and all the I'm still stressing about. Like there's still things from what happened last year that are still affecting me now. So so it's just like we're not even done with all the stuff that related to the tree falling. We're still not done. It's been almost a year.
Oh my
so
God.
like so it's just like this ongoing thing, and it's exhausting.
Yeah.
Do not recommend. So
I'm sure. And life, life gives us a lot of, the things that we can write about. It's the color, right? And our reactions to the stuff is what makes the piece unique. So whenever you get to the point of sitting down and writing this moment, it'll come out in some way, and you'll feel better for it. And other people may never realize that's what you were doing, but you will.
And you probably don't realize it as you're doing it sometimes.
It's true.
Oh,
it's true, definitely.
When I finished my first book, I sat back and I was like, oh, I have daddy issues.
Oh, no, my God. Oh, my gosh.
And I was completely done. And I'm like, oh, yeah, there's a theme here.
Wow.
Yeah.
No,
so I
it's
think
good, though.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that writing reflects who we are, regardless of what we're writing, right? It reflects who we are and our experiences. And so who we are is going to come out in the writing.
Yep.
Whether we want it to or not.
It can't help but come out in the writing. I think it should, because your characters are authentic in that way. You create someone and you can tell when they're really just not, they're just some random thing you pulled out of nowhere. There's like nobody. Yeah, exactly. A throwaway. And it definitely, you can see that in movies. Oh my God. I mean, that's so clear.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorites when I create a support character, like a secondary character who actually kind of steals most of the scenes that they're in, because they're just such a cool character.
Yeah.
I have this one in the series, and she's like even in my reviews, everybody, it's like, she's also my favorite character, but she's everybody's favorite character. So she's hilarious.
That's awesome.
That's one of my favorite things, even like in books I read too. Like when the secondary characters are just so vibrant that you can't not love them.
That is awesome.
Those are my favorite things.
So how many conventions do you go to? I know you do more than me. What do you do?
So typically, I go to probably about at least 6 every year, or maybe.
Whoa! Wow, that's a lot to me. It sounds like, to me at least.
Yeah, it kind of is. It's a little crazy. But I run the writer's track for 2 cons, and then I'm Multiverse, and then another con here in Atlanta. And then I'm second to the director for Dragon Con, the writing track at Dragon Con. And then, so those are the ones that I do organizationally. And then I try to do Con Carolinas. I wanted to do Saga, which is I don't remember what the hell it stands for, but it's specifically a business of writing. conference that just started, I think, in 2019. And it's in North Carolina. The Falstaff crew started it. And then I usually do a couple other random ones around the country. Those get switched off. So, like I don't do the same ones every year.
Okay. You flying out to them, or are you driving to them, or like what's your
my ideal is to be able to drive, because that way I'm a very particular con type person. Like I like to bring a lot of stuff. I like to bring a cooler with food so I don't have to eat out if I don't want to, which cuts costs.
Good
and
thinking.
Then, I also bring, I can't do this if I fly, but if I drive, I can. I have a milk frother and heater. And so I can do coffee concentrate. So I'll bring a jar of coffee concentrate and I'll bring my thing and I just have milk. So I'll have a cappuccino every single morning for awesome. 8 cents. I know. So
that's awesome.
I know, right? I have all these little hacks. Actually at Dragon Con, obviously we didn't do it this past year, but the year before, there are a couple of us who are in the tribe. We've gotten to where we do a tea in my room on I think we did it Sunday morning. And so I can do like cappuccino, I can do a tea latte, I can do all kinds of crazy stuff in my room. So yeah, I'm just I'm weird. I like the comforts of home.
That's neat though.
So
yeah, I don't do anything I have not done. I do the Balticon. I can drive to that one relatively easily. And Multiverse. I've done StokerCon.
Oh, I've done StokerCon too. I was part of the first StokerCon.
Yeah, I mean, I don't go every year though.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't do it all every year. I did a lot last year though with the online. So wow, I don't know how many I did. I did a lot of them, but I don't know if I can keep that pace when we get back to live.
No,
I mean, if we can do hybrid, if we can do hybrid, I would participate.
A lot of them are. Dragon Con is doing hybrid. They're doing digital and in person. Also, Con Carolinas did both. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to see that going forward from conventions.
Yeah, I think that if it allows for people to be able to get, because flying to a convention is expensive. It doesn't matter that you have to choose between that and something else. You know what I mean? Right. It's a trip. While I love the whole aspect of being in person, it's an expense that not everybody's going to foot all the time.
Right. Absolutely. But I think also having the digital, especially for authors, it gives us an opportunity to be on panels or be able to go to. This past year, I was a guest at a convention that is in Milwaukee. Usually, and it's I'm not going to go to Milwaukee.
Right.
Nothing against Milwaukee at all. But that's a really long haul for me.
Yeah.
Living in Atlanta. So yeah, but that was really cool. So I think having an online component is going to be great for authors because we'll be able to get the word out. And the thing is, it doesn't take nearly as much energy as actually going to a con for the weekend. But I think, when you go to a con in person as an author, especially if you've got a sales table, but even if you're just there as a guest and doing panels, you're on all the time. The whole time you're on the floor, you are on.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
You are working, and that's some long hours. And at the end, I mean, con drop is a thing. It's for real. It's that drop you feel in the couple days after a con, and part of it is endorphin crashing. And part of it is simply exhaustion, because mental exhaustion, because you've been on. And so the cool thing about having a lot more digital content for conventions, which I'm super excited about, is that you have an opportunity to go to these cons or be a part of these cons that you would never be a part of normally. And it's easy to do, you need an hour and a half of your time to record this to record one panel. You need to be a little early, stay a little bit late, hour and a half, 2 hours tops, right? Unless it's something more involved, right? So it makes I think it's awesome for authors. It's fantastic for authors, anyone who would be a guest at a con.
Yeah,
I think it's just a great thing.